Hi everyone. So this is Let's Talk with Deepti, and today I have with me a well-known face in Goa, Valmiki Nayak. He's an engineer by profession. He has studied in the University of Texas, and he has so much to his credit that a lot of people don't know. So Valmiki, welcome to the show, and I will ask you to give a brief intro about the work that you've been doing professionally as well as politically. You've been very active. So over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Dev Surabhi. First of all, congrats on the launch of your new channel. I think you have the ability to bring out a lot of untold stories, and the title of your channel, Let's Talk. I hope you'll be able to get maybe even some of our elected representatives to come and talk to you because they hardly ever talk to the actual citizens, you know. So I think if you can be that interface between citizens and the elected representatives, whether it's the mayor, the MLA, the ministers, I think it will be a big gap that can be filled.
Absolutely. Thank you for your
Yeah.
kind words.
About
So,
myself, yeah.
yeah, about yourself, you can go ahead and give us. A lot of the people don't know about what you do, and you're quite an amazing human being. So you can share about your achievements and what you do.
I think that's a very high praise, but I don't think I can live up to something like that. But basically, I'm a civil engineer, born and raised in Panjim, Goan in heart, body, mind, everything. And basically, I was never into politics before. Yeah, I was never into politics before, but just during that India Against Corruption movement, I started getting into activism, and that movement progressed into a political party. So that's how I'm in politics. That's how I ended up actually contesting elections in Panjim a couple of times. Something that I'd probably never dreamed of, contesting elections. But it has definitely been a good learning experience. Uh, and even though it has not led to much success, I think, like I said, I got to learn a lot from those experiences, and I hope one day the people of Panjim will give a new party like Aam Aadmi Party a chance, whether it's me or any of our candidates. It doesn't matter, but I think Goa is really, really uh, thirsting for alternative type of politics because we have seen that we have been fooled so many times in this binary politics of BJP and Congress, and each time they have proved that they are two sides of the same coin. And in the last 2 years, I think they have been the same side of the same coin almost. So today there is absolutely no difference between the Congress and the BJP. So I think Goa needs alternative politics desperately, and I hope an AAP MLA uh, comes to power at some point and demonstrates what governance and politics should be about.
Absolutely. And so, stemming from that, you've given your introduction. Recently, your video has gone viral, where you're standing in a flooded street, I think in Kampal Colony, and you're pointing out, you used some very, very strong words towards the MLA of Panaji, who is Babush Montserrat. And because he stood in the center that going to deliver on a promise of cleaning and the drainage, and there's not going to be any flooding. So, can you just share your thoughts about what you wanted to do with that and why you did that particular video?
Yeah, actually, that was on the spur of the moment because what really irks me about the politics that I was talking about is that people say exactly the right things to get elected, and as soon as they're elected, not only do they not do the work, they usually do the opposite of it. They take U-turns. That has become like a term that has become concrete in Goan politics. So that was what was starting to really irk me because in the video also I mentioned for the last 25 years as a resident of Panjim, uh, we saw that there were a lot of broken promises by the erstwhile MLA, and and this flooding issue has been, I've been seeing it from my childhood, the same places getting flooded. So we were obviously, besides all the other issues like garbage and traffic and all, which have got worse over time. But this flooding issue particularly was something that the current MLA, Mr. Babush Monserrat, really focused on. And, of course, during his election campaign, he had all these fancy posters for, social media consumption with all the main issues and, his very concrete assurances. And last year, what happened was he uh, he was seen on the ground when, even when the flooding happened last year. He was seen on the ground, and there seemed to be some sort of attempt from his end to at least acknowledge the issue. And he even said that, I'm sorry, I can't solve it this year. I've just been elected, but I will work for the next 1 year and make sure that next year there is no flooding. So this year came and the same flooding happened. In fact, this year was even worse. There were places in Panjim. I roamed all over Panjim before I came to that particular spot. And I came to that particular spot because Babush Monserrat stood at that very spot last year and made that statement which I just described to you. So to see the same place and all the other places and usual places in Panjim, as well as some new places flooded, it really, really upset me. So I think that angst and that anger and that frustration came out in that video. And of course, I'm glad it reached a lot of people. And I hope the voters really think about, how important their vote is, and that they don't get fooled again by all these empty promises and these hollow politicians.
Absolutely. And your angst came through that video like very, very clearly, because I think sometimes with human emotions, a real emotion when you're emoting through a video or some way of expression, it just comes out so candidly that people are like, oh my God, like, this person has just said it like it is. There's no mincing of words, and you certainly did not mince any words in that particular video. So hats off to you. You have shown a lot of courage and a lot of spine, I would say, to come out and do something like this. So coming to the other question that I want to ask of you today, uh, you've seen politics for, I think, actively now about 8 to 9 years, if I'm not mistaken. So, what is the movement that you see? Like, are you seeing the political scenario in our country, especially in Goa, improving or going down the drain? Like, do you see the electorate improving? Do you see the people's intentions improving? Are people waking up, or do you see it all going downhill? What are your observations?
Um, yeah, it's really sad because I feel that previously we didn't really have options, previous to maybe 8, 10 years ago. There was always, like I said, that binary politics between Congress and BJP, and some of their offshoots who would inevitably join up with them. So it was basically just two heavyweights. And since the advent of AAP, at least I felt there was a really good option available to the people. And we contested the 2017 elections very seriously. We put in a lot of effort, and I felt we had really good candidates, an amazing manifesto. I think you may know this, but our manifesto was not prepared by our party actually. It was prepared by the people of Goa. We had 350 meetings all over Goa, public meetings where any ordinary Goan could come and tell what the government of the Aam Aadmi Party, if we came to power, should do for him or her. And all those were compiled and turned into a really fantastic manifesto, which still today, I think 99% of those issues are still unresolved. So I felt 2017 was a missed opportunity. Like I said, it was our first time contesting. Politics is a really, really dirty game, and sometimes it has nothing to do with reality at all. And that is why in India, especially, and even in Goa, you see those communal angles and caste politics that is played, because that is the easiest way to bypass all logic and facts and reality to appeal to some emotional chord in the voter and make him change his mind and take a wrong decision at the last moment. So uh, But also on the flip side, people of Delhi gave us an opportunity not just once but twice now, and with overwhelming majority. So I think the victory of AAP this time in Delhi was not the victory of AAP; it was the victory of alternative politics. For the first
Yeah.
time, I have seen, in my life that uh, politics, at least a campaign was run on things like education and healthcare and environment and economy and jobs and skill building, things which are the real needs of this country and of this state. And people actually responded and they voted the same government in, which was a vindication that the work they did in all these spheres was well received. So and of course, you must have seen how the opposition tried their best to communalize the whole election. But I'm so happy that the people of Delhi came above all that and focused on the right issues. In fact, if you see any developed country today, any developed country, America or any country in Europe or UK or, you know, see there what their campaigns are about. They're about education and healthcare. They already have good systems in education and healthcare, but the conversation is still about making it better. So I think until the
Yes.
elections in our country don't focus on such issues, the real issues, we will continue to be misled. And there, I think it is a process. Like I said, we may be the world's largest democracy, but by population, but we are still one of the world's youngest democracy. We're hardly 70 plus years old. So America
That's
took 200, 250 years to mature to a democracy that it is today. So I hope we don't take that long because we have a lot to lose. But definitely it's a process, and I think that spark in Delhi, I hope it spreads across the rest of India. And Goa is just like the perfect model we can show where it is a full state, it is a manageable state, and there are really basic issues that we can solve and demonstrate the power of governance that should work for the common man.
absolutely. Thank you so much. So we are almost at the end of our to address a very, very important question. And you being so educated, you can also answer this. That is there a correlation between national development in a state and how an electorate uh, then elects a responsible government? So it's kind of like a chicken and egg situation. And uh, I think somewhere the politicians have disrupted this flow that, if people don't get educated enough, they don't have the means to choose well for themselves in terms of who their representatives will be. And in turn, representatives then don't treat education as a priority. And again, it's like a cyclical situation. So what do you say to this phenomenon that we see very, very rampantly in our countries, also in Goa?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, actually. We blame politicians, but I feel the onus on making the campaign issues the onus is on the people themselves. When the politician comes to your door to, uh, you know, ask for your vote, what is the conversation you have with him? That is important. If you ask for education and healthcare, that's what he will respond to. Actually, politicians only respond to, what the voters want. So if the voters really want education and healthcare to be the campaign issues, they can make it. So I think, like I said, we're still a young democracy, and the nation, you know, uh, kind of like responds to emotional campaigns a little more, based on religion and caste. But I really hope we get over that. As far as development is concerned, uh, you have to decide what is development. You have to define development. So far, we have been sold the idea of development as concrete structures. So, you'll actually see projects dragging along, until just before election, they're finished up and they're inaugurated, and people are impressed that okay, this government did something. So even if you didn't do anything for the past 5 years, the last 5 months, if you're able to show one concrete structure,
Yeah.
that misleads people. So we also have that ability. We should also have that ability to see beyond, the past 5 6 months before the election, and define development as human development, not just concrete development. So that includes our quality of life, our education system, our access to public health care, the job security, safety. So all these basic things, for me, those count as development. If we have all that, I think everything else just falls into place. And building concrete structures is actually the easiest thing. You just have to spend money.
Yes,
Concrete structures are not very an intelligent idea or something. You just have to throw money and at the last few months and create that structure, and voila, you've got something to show for doing nothing for 5 years. So we have a lot to learn, and we have a lot to mature as a democracy. And I hope we do that soon. I have complete confidence that we Indians can do it. We give people a lot of chance, but I think when you push it a lot, which I think both the
mm,
governments in the state as well as the center have done, I think the people of India will teach these governments and these parties a lesson soon.
absolutely. And I think, and I've been telling this to the people around me, that this pandemic has taught us at least one thing, that, when we are, very, very hungry, we can't eat uh, bridges and all these concrete structures, and none of the poor
Absolutely.
can as well. So it's actually the development of the people that matters the most. So thank you so much, Valmiki. You've taken the time to be part of this segment, and you're supporting our channel Goa Story. Um, we will have an opportunity, hopefully soon, to interview you about something else. But hats off and kudos to you to not mince any words when you talk about issues. Keep up the good work, and I hope to see a lot more coming from you. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, I wish Goa Stories all the best.
Thank you.